Hello, and welcome to video 20 of my Chao World playlist. Video 60 if you've been following along on my Sonic Adventure 2 playthrough, and if you have, kudos to you. Still here with the goal of collecting one of each of the 3 immortal Chaos Chaos, though it's going to take some time seeing as I've already finished the hero side story, and we haven't evolved our base 2 Chaos yet, the evolution being a tiny fraction of the Chao's lifespan, and needing to get through 2 reincarnations before we can actually get our Chaos Chaos. You know, the plural of Chao might be Chao. It's probably not actually Chaos, because Chaos spelled out is chaos, and, you know, chaos, god of destruction, and you know what, if I say Chaos, we know what I'm saying. I'm not gonna necessarily say Chao for when I mean plural. So we still need to evolve our initial light and dark Chao to unlock the other 2 gardens. However, continuing to collect more emblems will allow us to acquire better things from the black market. And going out of our way to get the emblems will mean that we have more rings, and more rings means being able to buy more items. More items means more Chao fruit, which give balanced stats on feeding, and balanced stat progression of course means being able to complete more of the races and karate emblem challenges, which in turn unlock more things. However, the Chao which I currently have all have relatively bad stats for the sake of growth. I can choose to get more eggs, which will provide an entirely new randomly generated Chao. I can wait for some of my Chaos to do their initial evolution into adulthood, allowing me to use the heart fruits to breed them and hopefully get a better Chao out of it, but I could end up with worse stats, although they're already pretty low, so maybe their hidden phenotypes will come through and be better. Or I can do what's called a pro gamer move. I could pivot over to playing Phantasy Star Online up until the point where I get the Tails Chao, which has all A rank stats out of the box and is also immortal anyway. He's basically a Chaos Chao, but he's not. If I do go to get the Tails Chao, it automatically becomes the default dump everything extra onto this Chao, because beyond the cosmetics of what I'm going for out of evolutions, I don't necessarily need to worry about the rest of these 3 Chaos if I'm planning on making all of them the initial Chaos Chaos, because their skill typing doesn't really matter during their first 2 reincarnations, aside from which skill is going to get a permanent +1 on their medical scorecard. And the light Chaos Chao being blue, the one that looks like Chaos Zero being sky blue, would work aesthetically, and using a 2-tone Chao for each the Angel and Devil Chao Chaos Chaos would also be fine. And while getting the Tails Chao might sound like it solves all of the problems, would I really be doing any of you justice if I don't also showcase the Amy and Knuckles Chaos? Those 2 are a little bit more difficult to acquire these days though. If I don't go the Character Chao route, should I be trying to get better stats before I go through the gauntlet of races and karate, or do I just try to grind it out with what I've got? Regardless of what I decide, I should have 2 additional free 2-tone Chaos as soon as I unlock the other 2 gardens. I could always see what their stats are before I make any serious decisions. And I still haven't quite decided what I want to do with the extended periods of waiting time, because ultimately I do need to pass time while in the garden, and it's going to add up to a lot of time. Would a split screen with the tiny Chao garden going on while the main garden kind of just progresses in the background? I'd say we'd cross that bridge when we get to it, but there's only so much dark side story left, and also this right here is the Chao Garden series, and I want to progress that. I'm not 100% certain how the game decides which classroom lessons are occurring, but I believe that they carry over between reincarnations, so if I send them for drawing they'll come back and know how to draw after they're reborn. Similarly, I'm not entirely certain if their badges progression, the unlockable items from races, carry over between their lives. The more things that they are able to do, the more interesting the time progression will be, but there is a certain amount of time required to actually get them to complete their lessons and to go through the races, which also requires stats, and if it doesn't carry over between rebirths, then I'm going to need to redo it each time they reincarnate. And I am relatively certain that their time spent in the classroom and also your time spent in races with them do not count as active garden time for the sake of progressing their growth. So doing the things which make any given Chao more thought-provoking also extends the amount of time in their current lifespan. And of course we're here trying to make things go fast because it's a Sonic game and you gotta make things go fast. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. We're still out here feeding Corey all of the poultry he can get his hands on. Please leave me some feedback in the comments below if you have any ideas of how I should proceed. And if you made it this far, tell me your favorite color, and I'm gonna try and get a Chao of that color.